Hello and welcome to another scene set in the living world of darkness, rage across New York. As the scene is set in front of the cabin on the sept of the green claimed by Banshee's pack. Jacob has he's been socializing. He's already met the Omega of the pack, 10 Point, in a prior incident, and they actually got along quite well. Despite the, quote, bells and whistles. He has, however, been looking for a very specific individual among this pack. Someone a lot like him, at least on the surface. A predator's focus, a Silver Fang Philodox, of an interesting lineage, no less. And Jacob has decided to pay a visit to the pack's cabins to see if he might find him, as there is much to discuss, considering the events that have taken place. And this fairly well-rounded individual looks just a little bit too much like Jason Gordon-Levitt, is seen sauntering up to the cabin in a police uniform, a police jacket, and will simply, walk up to the cabin, see if anyone is around. You're muted still. I believe we may be having technical issues.
Oh, that was weird. Okay. All right. For some reason it wouldn't unmute, but okay. All right. Balian is sitting in a chair on the porch with his feet up. He's got a cup of tea with a saucer and a spoon in one hand, and he's just kind of sipping and looking out across the lawn. He will, as the policeman starts approaching the cabin, he will reach over and place his cup and saucer on the rail of the porch, and will stand. And as he has been told, this is a protected portion of the sept. He will assume that this person is at least in the know of what's going on, and will, as he's only heard of one police officer so far, will walk up and approach, and then go down to one knee and turn his head to the side.
You wouldn't happen to be a predator's focus, would you?
I am.
Just the person I was looking for. I am Jacob Wormsbane Clay, Homid Philodox of the Silver Fangs of Foston.
Balian Kraus, predators focus to the nation, born on 2 legs, under a half moon, child of Falcon. House of the Gleaming Eye.
Yes, I'm of House Wormfo myself. Sun Lodge.
He nods.
No, feel free to rise.
And he will stand up and then extend a hand.
Jacob shakes it with a firm grasp.
Would you join me for tea, Raya? Or perhaps something stronger?
Tea will do fine, thanks.
He smiles. Some of my kin are of Fianna stock, so there are certain luxuries that come along with that.
No doubt. I generally don't drink too much myself. Unless it's...
Fair enough. He'll walk back over towards the porch and gesture towards a seat that is across from him.
Jacob will take a seat and I'll just be a moment as I get a drink that stops my throat from exploding.
Sure.
Apologies for that.
No problem. As I said, Balian will eat, and then he will take a seat. And then, as a howl goes across the sept, he will look up and then look at the sky with the sun in it. His lips will purse in quiet anger.
Jacob, he looks a little bit terse upon hearing the howl. His eyes narrow a little bit. He attempts to handle the teacup with a bit more care, though, as he does so, as he realizes he's still handling fine china, as it were. Gently puts it down upon hearing the howl. I was wondering when they'd make an announcement about that.
Tell me, cousin, do they often break the veil in such ways here in the middle of the worms? The weavers, nets.
Depends. Deeper in the heart of the bond, it's permitted, I believe, but you're only allowed to do it in warded areas of the sept. Usually, hells are made across the Umbra rather than the Tellurian.
I see. Learn new things every day.
I can see why they did it this time, though. You arrived at a rather opportune time.
Oh?
Well... by the way, was the howl Balian is referring to the one made by the 1 second.
The one Aiden just posted.
1 sec. Ah, right. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the set page. Right. Did you hear the howl, an earlier howl, regarding someone dishonoring a sept totem?
I did.
It's a bit of a story. It involves a silent strider menace called the Radiant Spear. That howl you heard just now relates to a certain fake spirit. It was a prank pulled by a child of Gaia, William Oath of Silence White. He has a very strong spirit heritage involving the Glade children. He reached out to them to perform a bit of a joke, made them believe this Dapalos fairy, an interesting little anagram, was a very powerful spirit going to pay a visit to the sept, and some people thought that they should pay tribute. Radiant Spirit brought some dead rodents as tribute. According to several theurges, I'm not entirely sure who was witness to it, but we know that it occurred and that he did so. It was later established when he learned he'd been tricked. He also broke into a child of Gaia kinfolk's apartment in Glabro form, and actually been walking outside in Glabro form for quite some time, and assaulted Oath of Silence while there are kinfolk around. Should be noted, Oath of Silence is in our room. He caused something of a diplomatic incident in doing so. Got his ass kicked, of course, by the R room. Ended up being escorted home by myself in the back of a van. I was going to punish him for this incident, and then I learned about his little adventure with breaking the Septotem's ban on April Fool's Day, which has, well, it's been something I won't lie, it's been an absolute catastrophe. Myself and several other guru have spoken with Grey White Mouse regarding this. She has withdrawn her favour from the sept until the issue was resolved. She has not decided whether or not to forgive us yet. Needless to say, I'm absolutely furious. In my view, sorry.
No, you're fine. Balian takes another sip of his tea. And this... You see him searching for a word. Perpetrator. The accused is, you said, of Owl's Brood. Is this correct?
Oh, sorry, you cut out when you said, is he of?
Is he of Owl's brood? Is this correct?
Yes, he is a silent strider clear.
What rank?
Oh, Jacobson clear.
Oh, that's right. Born on how many?
Quick question, OC. How does one say metis? Because there's 2 legs, there's 4 legs, then there's...
Depends on how degrading you want to be. You could just simply say mule.
Yeah, he could just... Pretty degrading, though. Jacob will just say... He's a metis. Born under the laughing moon.
You see Balian's nostrils flare a little bit. His eyes narrow. He will exhale deeply, reach over and place the saucer on the rail of the porch again, as you see his hands clench.
Jacob won't ask. He's met 10 point. Not much was said, but he can kind of figure what's up.
So, something born of the worm has placed a sept in danger. Notice my complete look of surprise.
There's a small chuckle from Jacob. Funny you should say that. Calls the Fury a Black Fury forced said she'd noted the worm foe of strange activity regarding Silent Strider. I've actually been advised to seek him out. See what information he has for us.
I was hoping to be placed on the Wormfoe's docket of appointments. This seems to be as good a time as any to speak with him. So, if I am hearing you correctly, cousin, he kind of raises his hand open with all of his fingers splayed before him and touches one. We have a mule that has placed a sept in danger, which could be argued to be placing a cairn in danger of being violated. It then proceeded to disrespect the territory of another.
Yes.
Not only once, but twice. To the kinfolk, and then again in regards to the sept totem. Then during the incident with the kinfolk, it endangered the veil.
Yes. If this Silent Strider has been out on the street in glamour form for more than 5 seconds, I would be inclined to agree.
So,
sorry.
No, you're fine. So, that is extremely important, and I will not downplay any of that. However, you mentioned speaking with the sept totem, and it mentioned that it had not returned its favor as yet, but it was waiting. Is that correct?
Yes. Right, Mouse has not yet decided whether she will forgive us or not. It is something the whole sept will have to earn back. This is something that, well, everyone in the sept will be working on. I know we have already made some offerings that have enabled us to speak with her in the first place. There have also been efforts made to preserve the lives of a great white mouse's children, to try and amend for those already taken. I know the Theurges have a project in mind, and our role to play in this will be creating a fitting punishment for the one responsible for this catastrophe.
I am new to this continent. I am new to this sept. However, I can tell you how this would be, how I might approach handling this in the old country.
Do go ahead. I'm all ears. He kind of leans back in his chair, steeples his fingers, and seems to almost look forward to hearing the proposal. Well, not proposal, but example, shall we say.
He'll roll willpower so that he doesn't crush the cup when he reaches back over and picks up his tea. He'll bring it up and take a sip. As chiminage to the great white mouse, the offender would be crucified with a pot of ravenous mice bound to his abdomen and left that way until the spirit felt it was appeased by the feasting of his children. During its time, the rite of the jackdaw and the rite of ostracism would be performed upon his flesh, so that all would know that the worm does not reign here.
And
then in the old country, finally, should Great White Mouse decide to allow the creature to live, he would be beaten from the sept and banished.
He leans back and examines this. Interesting.
And looking very much like the Kermit the Frog meme, drinking his tea.
But that's none of my business.
Alien sits back and takes a sip.
I definitely believe, at a minimum, we can use elements of this. I know one of these rites, but the rite of the jackdaw, I've been spending most of my time learning the rite of satire. I have known Radiant Spear for a while now. Frankly, he has been shown up by a coggy Arun when it comes to his own auspice, and has managed to break, at a minimum, 3 tenets of the litany within 48 hours. No, Jacob said he had the rite of ostracism, but not the rite of the jackdaw. Okay. He said he's been spending the majority of his time learning the rite of satire.
Gotcha. Okay. Baleen I know the rite of the jackdaw. And if you are interested in the rite of ostracism, I can perhaps contact someone who was sent here to, he kind of smiles thinly, mentor me, and see if it's something that he might be able to perform for us.
I appreciate the offer, but I already know the rite of ostracism. I had to perform it recently upon oath of silence. funnily enough. That's a separate case, however. And
Yes.
unlike this individual, despite its severity, was still not as serious, and he seems to have made strides to learn from his mistakes. My concern is that this Cleaf doesn't seem to understand his own auspice or his own beliefs or what it even means to be a Garu. He has multiple times acted out of turn and often had the opposite effect of what he intended, and has managed to earn the enmity of several figures within the sept, one of which is actually the worm foe, and myself. And before this, I was perhaps the only Philodox other than the truth catcher within the sept. His ability to teach lessons in the Ragabash's way seems to be lacking.
Then, should he be allowed to remain on the sept, perhaps he needs to spend more time under the tutelage of the Den Mother and Den Father.
Perhaps. I know he's been pulled aside more than once by the Wormfoe, who is a Ragabash himself, challenging him on his understanding of his role in Gaia's plan, and the fact that Arun has been able to do so as well is concerning. Especially one who themselves has acted out of turn several times. He's quickly reaching a point, or rather, with this incident, has reached a point where one can no longer brush these issues aside and overlook them. There's clearly a problem here. Lack of education, a very real show of ignorance if he doesn't even understand. If he doesn't even understand his Septotem's own ban and his role, I question if he understands his own tribe even at this point. He doesn't seem to have shown any standard traits that his tribe would possess, or any of their talents, other than their pacts, of course. But this is a given.
He kind of sits back in his chair. It's a mule, cousin. It will never understand. It has the worm in its very flesh. It has but one purpose, and that is to one day die serving Gaia. If it cannot fulfill that purpose, even as simple as it may be, then it may be simpler to simply discard it. Again, I am new to this country and new to this sept. I will rely on your experience here.
Jacob analyzes this this logic. Navel gazes for a little bit, but then looks back up at Balia and says, "That would be something of a last resort, in my opinion. while he has run out of second chances, I believe he can still be of use, if nothing else. It still can be put to effective deployment in Gaia's name. We're a little bit more catch can here. If it can serve a purpose, then it shall serve it. In this case, that would mean, yes, dying in Gaia's name. However, I prefer that to be something of more direct benefit to Gaia than something of a simple sacrifice or chiminage. If he were to be destroyed because of his crimes here, I do not believe the damage would be fully repaired, and thus his death would not be worth the price we paid for his wrongdoing. The amendments made for his crime will be the barest of minimums. He will be twice as much Isagaro to prove that he is one, because he has shown that he is only half one the past 2 days.
Very well. However, I believe we may be putting the cart before the horse a bit. We have yet to, at this point, we all, I believe the term that he kind of gestures towards your badge is hearsay. We have interviewed no eyewitnesses to either of these events. Am I correct?
There's a glasswalk of Fiage that contacted me over the phone. I'm not sure if he was a witness, but he stated that Radiant Spear had done what was suggested, and said that Binding Tempest was able to confirm it. She's a Foston Fianna Fiage, so a Metis. It also concerns me that if she was there, why she did not stop this cleave immediately. She's been on the set longer than he has. She should have known. I would like to find as many witnesses as possible and understand why this was not brought up sooner. I believe it was Final Right, Wendigo, Cleof Metis, and William Oath of Silence who brought this to our attention. And I do not believe there were eyewitnesses. I know Oath of Silence wasn't. I do not believe Final Right was either, but I shall double check. But the fact that we had to rely on people outside the incident and their kinfolk to provide us with the information is concerning. It also concerns me because if Radiant Spear is responsible for this crime, it implies there may be more to the incident regarding his assault on Oath of Silence, as he was the one who carried out this prank to begin with. It's possible he was trying to remove a witness or evidence. Well, Oath of Silence wasn't a witness because he was behind the prank, so he would have been aware of what had happened after the incident because the Glade children would have informed him. Funny enough, Vocal Silence's involvement in the establishing of this case does do him some credit towards his eventual redemption, if he can reach it. But yes, you're right. We should interview more individuals.
He smiles. As you are the ranking half moon on Sept, I am, of course, at your service.
I will contact Over Silence and see if we can get a short list. Normally, I wouldn't contact someone who's under the right of ostracism, but I am the one who cast it upon him, and I did not set a time limit. It was to be lifted when it was judged he redeemed himself, so I've had to keep an eye on him to some extent. And this is a situation that warrants full attention, regardless of his lesser crime. I'll send you a short list and we can get to work interviewing the witnesses to the incident. It was stated that he was seen by several individuals. It's just a matter of finding out who, because specifics were not given at the time. Of a blinding tempest, of course.
Of course.
I suppose the only other part of this mystery that remains to be resolved is the relation of for rodents. I would like to know why he thought it was a good idea in the first place. I find it absolutely astounding that he would do such a thing so openly. I think it was a good idea. But I'd also like to know why he assaulted over violence after the fact as well, especially again in a ludicrously open manner that endangered others. He could have simply challenged him for the mockery or acting out of auspice, but he did not. Instead, he directly assaulted him within the city, the Weaver's domain, which is dangerous for us, as the Weaver does not like chaos. It paints an unnecessary target on our back. You're good, don't worry.
If you'll allow, perhaps after speaking to the witnesses, we could call the sept together. And then have each person who was a witness state their observations before not only the rest of the sept, but as well as the sept spirits and totems. And then have this perpetrator speak in regards to its crimes. Now, it would be my recommendation that we have already spoken with all of these and we know exactly what's going to be said. That way, as soon as everyone has spoken, we can be seen as decisive by pronouncing quick judgment.
Grey White Mouse hasn't announced her own punishment yet, although I have told her, of course, that if she does reach a decision, we'll be more than happy to provide. He thinks for a moment.
If the spirit stated that it waits for our judgment to determine if it is going to return its favor, then I would believe that it is our judgment that will determine the judgment of Great White Mouse. Therefore, as our sacred rites and rituals have been handed to us by the spirits, or at least that is what the theurgists tell us, then making this more ritualized may please the spirit more. But again, I am no theurge. That would be something we would need to discuss with the eldest theurge here, who would be... And he kind of looks towards you.
The oldest Theurge. He looks back. He leans back, sorry. I believe that may very well be Binding Tempest, actually. Other than, and he'll mention the NPCs, Theurges. Other than that, however, there would be Binding Tempest. Final Right is a clear, but she's fairly heavily involved in this case. She was the one that, what's going on? There we go. Final Right was the one that enabled us to speak with Great White Mouse, so it would be recommended discussing the issue with her also, but the oldest would be Binding Tempest and, quote, NPC who is probably like the Master of Rights or something. I can't remember off the top of my head, I apologize. Lucy.
Sorry. We need to speak with Binding Tempest Raya as it is. So that appears to be fortuitous.
You said before regarding this crucifixion, could you remind me of the specifics again? This is actually the first time I've heard of this particular form of punishment.
The offender would be crucified with a pot of mice strapped to his abdomen. The mice would eat and feast upon his flesh until Great White Mouse felt its children were sated and satisfied by the offender's suffering. Then the rite of the jackdaw and the rite of ostracism would be performed upon him. And as you believe that there perhaps might be, well, not might, breaches of the litany, you may even have occasion to carve the tenets of the litany that he broke into his flesh. And then, in most cases, depending on the violation, he would be beaten from the sept and banished. Now, there are multiple pieces to this, and multiple levels. Worse, certain things will seem to be lesser than things can be taken away or added. However, when as Great White Mouse was the spirit that was offended, one that came to mind.
Yes, I can think of a few variations. My main change would perhaps be after the fact, rather than total banishment, a rite of satire could be performed. That way he can continue his penance from the ground up. I don't think, well, I don't believe rather that his suffering alone would be enough. He would have to turn this entire situation around from something of disfavor to favor. He doesn't just need to, sorry, he cannot just balance the scales, he needs to tip them. That is what I believe must be demanded of him, for him to re-earn his place among us.
That would be a question for the theurges. Perhaps once we've spoken with all of the witnesses, we might impress upon the oldest theurge and the worm foe and the warder and discuss with them our proposed action and see if they might have anything that they would like to add or subtract.
Yes.
Specifically in regards to appeasement of Great White Mouse, which, although enforcement of the litany is extremely important, I believe we have to place the sept itself, and therefore Great White Mouse, in the forefront, lest we perhaps cause the sept totem to continue to be upset and thus break it ourselves.
I also intend to run by the Truth Catcher as the oldest Philodox on the sept. He should know of our proposals. But I suppose that is a given. The entire sept is, to some extent or another, involved in this. And I believe those who did not stop Radiant Space sooner should be held to account for that failure. Of course, that is if what we know currently is the truth. If it turns out the story is slightly different, then we can account for that.
Absolutely.
There we go.
As you said, we are putting the cart before the horse a bit. We need to discuss, well, interview the situation.
I can actually imagine another witness. I believe Aidan Lynch was most likely there. He's a Homid Fianacli of Ragabash also. He's the one who just made that howl.
I believe I met him last evening.
Yeah.
He seemed an agreeable sort. However, I will rely upon your opinion as to his reliability as a witness. He is of the Laughing Moon, which at times can have issues with understanding the seriousness of certain matters.
Yes, he has a tendency to be a little bit inconsistent at times, especially regarding his temper, which is strange for Ragabash, but other than that, he appears to be honest with his views, if nothing else. It's his actions that are more inconsistent. might also putting the cart before the horse. My apologies. Yes, I believe it was a large gathering of Fianna at this April Fool's incident, so it'll be largely Fianna that we'll be dealing with.
Well, it seems we have a course of action ahead of us. Did you require of anything of me specifically? Would you like me to accompany you on the interviews, or?
I believe we may be able to cover more ground more quickly if we hold interviews separately. If you're able to spare the time, it would be appreciated.
Where would you like me to proceed?
You said you met Aidan Lynch, and he seems agreeable with you, yes?
I did, and he did.
Then it would be perhaps a good place to start. I'll contact Blinding Tempest and get her view of the situation.
Excellent.
I'll run some things by Oath of Silence and Blinding Tempest as well to see if who else was at the incident. I believe Saoirse Fianna Galliard was there.
He nods. Excellent. I will perform the interview as you have requested, and then once I find out the result of that interview, I will get back with you and see where we decide to proceed from there.
Thank you. Yes, I believe that. I believe that's an agreeable course of action. Once we have all our witness statements, we can compare and contrast and see if we can initiate a gathering. Perhaps Fianna Wright can even cajole Great White Mouse to share her view with the sept in its entirety. I know the Keeper of the Land has discovered her disfavor quite directly.
Excellent.
And then we can initiate our judgment thereafter. After cross-examination.
Excellent. If there was nothing else, Raya, I need to meet with my alpha.
Yes, of course. I shan't keep you from your packmates. I appreciate this conversation with you. It's been perhaps the most productive thing in the past 48 hours.
Got you, cousin. I look forward to many more.
Likewise. I shall be seeing you then in the coming days.
Absolutely. And he'll stand and he'll take both teacups and saucers and he'll wander back into the cabin.
Jacob will stand and initiate a short bow before returning to his own packmates. And on that note, I believe we can end the scene there. Thank you, player, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. We'll see you next time.